Uh-oh. It's time to talk fake Rickenbackers. Rickenbackers are copied, they're expensive, they're hard to find, so copies are out there, but they're the one guitar company that everybody has an opinion on because of their protecting their own trademark. How is that a bad thing, really? I didn't know about it when I bought this thing in the early 2000s, and I found out and I figured out you have to gift it to somebody. You can't sell it. All right, so I gifted it away. Somebody who's not going to sell it. That is okay. But buying a new fake Rickenbacker in the United States is illegal. You can't do that. They protect their trademark, so you're breaking the law. And really, what it comes down to on this one, who we're hurting are people like ourselves who, instead of going out there and buying something, learned how to build on their own. Now, that limitation of not being able to go out there and have a fake made can push you to try something new. This was a Hannah Montana guitar that I put a Rickenbacker pickups on and a bigger neck on to make it look like a Rickenbacker. I'm not selling this. That's mine. I built that for me. You know, the other thing is, it being the only guitar brand where, you know, the Les Paul was discontinued. That's why we have the SG. They didn't protect it. They didn't think that it would matter. And the one company that does gets flack for it. All right, so if we're paying for a boutique guitar built in the United States, there's very few options. You have people like Doug Cower, who makes great stuff in California, also Rickenbacker in California. And those prices reflect how difficult it is to build a quality instrument in the US and sell it. It's not an easy thing to do. That is the difficulty in those prices. When we take the one guitar that protects viciously its copyright, its right to build those instruments, we're hurting people like ourselves in California who want to play and are into music and doing all that. There's plenty of other guitars that copies were made and they've come to the point where they're just, what is a Stratocaster is, they're everywhere. They were copied, their license was not protected, and that's why that thing is ubiquitous, but it also makes it less worth the price of finding it. You can find a Stratocaster. I have a great Squier Stratocaster right here. I like it better than the Fender ones that I've played. I like the neck a lot more. Sounds fine. And, you know, I can get that shape from anywhere. Or I can build it myself. Build something yourself. Or if it's really something you want to go after and get and think it's the thing you need, it doesn't matter who makes it. You already know that that's the thing you want to get. And if it inspires you to do something musically, that is really all that matters. A successful musician is just making music, not making money. It's finance. Music for music's sake is the point. And these are just tools to do that. You know, you have to justify the value. I wanted something I didn't have to think about. I didn't want anything in the way of, I wanted deep cutaways. That was a factor for me. I wanted 24 frets. That was a factor for me. Everybody has their own deal. I wanted a hard, heavy sound, but not a metal sound. I wanted something that had that edge to it. That was my thing. You have your own. But for the most part, a lot of the ubiquitous humbucker guitars, 3 single coil guitars, Tele setup, you can take that and put it in any form factor you want now and still get those sounds. But when something is constructed differently, and I don't know much about the solid body Ricks because I don't like solid body guitars as much as I like semi-hollows. And for me, this was the thing. I wanted something that was resonant and you could kind of feel the note. That was really important, to feel like it was the response. So everybody has their own reasons for doing it. If you're going for the look, build your own. I wanted to look at this. It's never gonna play like a real 54 or whatever combo 600. Never gonna do that. It's my own deal. You can get the look by doing it yourself. I had to learn a skill to do, to build something that was not there. And then, I was gonna build the bass, and then they built that. So I had to buy that because there was no way I could make something as nice quality with, pearl, no, there's no way I could have done that on that same level. So that was, that's why I have this one here. That was gonna build a bass out of that. That neck was gonna go into another guitar body, which is gonna use the 1936 pickup. So I got Rickenbacker plans, and I have your standard studio quiver plans. So 3 pickup, single coil guitar. I've got the Tele style guitar. I've got the 2 humbucker guitar, and I'm gonna do some other guitars. But I'm not gonna pick the usual shapes. I like the Vantage Avenger from Matsumoto. Weird thing, but I'm using that shape to adapt those same common guitar styles. So I've got something that feels comfortable. Anytime I pick one up, I don't have to run into a cutaway. I know where I'm going to get it, no matter what sound I want out of those. The playability will be the same. So and it looks different, and each of them is going to have their own kind of thing. It's one way to have, be into one style of guitar and do different things. Totally different setup on pickups, totally different electronics, different tunings, different necks. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. But if the limitation for you can't buy a fake hadn't been there, I'd have not learned how to do this stuff. I'd have just sat there and then paid my money. If you can learn how to work on an instrument, you have increased your ability to make any sound you want. There's a balance. But yeah, gear is a personal decision. We all put too much thought into it, into image and what it means, but what we should be thinking about is, what do we need to use to inspire ourselves to make things? What is the tool that you grab and make the song quickest with? Least amount of effort. And there's different tools for different songs. So that's why a lot of people have more than one instrument. Having something that was a different kind of guitar where you had to learn how to maintain it yourself because the regular shops are not going to do it. That made me better at playing, better at, figuring out how my signal chain is going to work, figuring out string tension. I've got one of these is a baritone. So bass and guitar, they end up being just different ways you apply notes rather than high pitch, low pitch. You get used to how things change. When I was a kid, I took a guitar with a similar sized neck, doubled up with bass strings, and doubled up strings over here, and had some sort of weird mutated mandocello that I could play leads, chords, and bass lines with one finger, because at that point I had lost feeling in my pinky. And I was trying to figure out things to do. How do I adapt? I'm 16, I've lost all that speed, all that reach that was there, and it's all gone. How do I adapt? How do I not throw this thing away in anger? Because this is how I get through. You know, guitar is a personal journey for everybody. There's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. That's, I think, why I'm attracted to this. There's no rules. It's a bass or it's a guitar. It depends on how I use it, not what it is. That's the fun part of finding out how to do things your way. You can read what everybody else did, and it's good to know. It's good to try to learn those things, but you can't define yourself by doing what other people did. So here's my embarrassing story. Okay. So I picked, obviously I picked these weird guitars kind of as a way to distinguish myself from the regular pack of guitarists, just to have a different approach. But that's not all. I mean, you need more than that. You can't just pick a different guitar and play the same stuff that somebody else did and think you've done something new. That's not into something new. So it was 2001. We went to go see the band Phantomas at the Brick by Brick in San Diego. This tiny little dive bar with a very tiny green room backstage place. Tiny. Opening act is this guy, Atomsmasher. And this is 2001. He goes up there, sits on a chair with another chair and a laptop. Nobody was doing this then. Nobody was doing DJ stuff like this. There's a guy up there and he's getting heckled. You've got mail. People are laughing at him and making fun of him and stuff. And then he starts playing and he's manipulating the sound out of quadraphonic stereo. I'm hearing stuff go from here to here to here, here, and he's melding it together. And I can tell what he's doing live. He's mixing it all on the fly. And I was impressed. So his set ends. He ends up sitting at the bar by himself, nobody talking to him from the crowd. I go up to him, I say, sorry, San Diego sucks. Sorry, our people are just jerks. Bunch of assholes. And I said, I like what you were doing. I could tell you were doing that. I said, sorry about the hecklers. He's like, I love it. He says, it's fun. I love that part. That was my first lesson that night. Next lesson is we're just talking, and told him, I'm a real fan of, Mike Patton, who is the lead singer of Faith No More, and Faith No More had just broken up fairly recently, and he's now in this band called Phantomas. Phantomas is a super group. Let's see, it's got Mike Patton and Trevor Dunn from Mr. Bungle. It has Buzz Osborne from the Melvins. He introduced Dave Grohl to Nirvana. It has Dave Lombardo from Slayer. Wow, quite a group, quite ability. And so I'm talking to Atomsmasher. We're just having beers and stuff, and they're about to go on. And he knows something's up. He's ready, and he kind of keeps looking over, and and then they go into the first song, and it's the Godfather theme. They're busting out Nina Rota in this amazing, loud, and this place just, and it was, my jaw dropped because I hadn't heard anything done like this live. Just the opening note was leveled the playing field. Any heckler was done. You could not, it was an amazing show, and they kicked ass throughout the whole thing. And I realized that, like, this was a band where they didn't give a crap about what anybody thought of them. The whole show was amazing. People were there they wanted Faith No More because they had heard that. That was all that they knew or something. And they didn't care. They just did their thing. They'd all had these great bands, and they're doing this other thing full force. Hold on a second, I'm letting in the dog. So the show is great, and it ends, and after they stopped, and Atomsmasher comes back and he taps me, hey, come on back, there's something I want to give you. He takes me back, and I go into the green room, this tiny little room. And he gives me a CD, and at this point I had given him a CD of stuff that I had done, which at that point I had realized was complete crap. Because it was being somebody else. Here's a Pink Floydish song, here's a Led Zeppelinish song, here's some Who shit. And I realized I wasn't myself, and there was nothing that defined me as me. I was just doing somebody else's thing. And I realized that before I walked in there, and here they now have this piece of shit CD that I had done. And I realized everything I had done was crap. Not that it was technically bad, but it was somebody else's crap, and not my own, not distinguishable, not my voice. And here's Mike Patton standing next to me going, and Buzz Osborne walks out like that, and they're talking to Dave, hey, gotta go drive home. Oh, okay. And I just realized, number one, I didn't belong there because I wasn't doing my own thing. And I realized it in front of a super group. And it was sort of like Ralphie in A Christmas Story. Football? What's a football? I was speechless. There was nothing I could say. They knew that they had done an amazing job. You could tell. They had done an amazing show. And you could tell that they were completely satisfied. And I realized then the only way I would be satisfied musically, they gave me a couple pity beers, and I toddled out of there. But I had realized, if I'm going to say anything, I have to say my own thing my own way, instead of saying somebody else's thing just a slightly different way. And that's really hard to do. But it's also the best thing you can do, is figure out how you do your music. Because nobody else can. Most people won't care. And that's a difficult thing about music. You have to figure out how to be content with doing your thing for you, or for your group, or whoever it is, and setting those goals. And, realizing I didn't ever want to do covers. That I just don't. Somebody else did that. That's their thing. It's like stealing a guitar design and selling it as my own, when it's, somebody else's. I can't do that either. It's very hard to figure out and develop your own you. But I wouldn't have been happy if I had done anything other way. Success, I could have made money. But that's a different thing. That's a different bar. If you're doing interesting stuff musically, well, isn't that what music is about, and sharing those? So I share those. I don't care if anybody likes the music. It's just how it goes. You can't choose that. You have to be okay with most people just being, why are you wasting your time? But you have to stick with it and find your own way to do that. Frame it so your expectations, I'm not going to be a rock star. Nobody does that. I wasn't ever setting out to be that. No famous musician. I just want to play music because that's the thing that I enjoy. It would be great if I could have a band that would connect people. That was what the original intent was when I was 13. All right, now I'm playing guitar. I want a band where I can connect with people and have a better world. Do something new. And then life comes at you, throws you obstacles, and you try to bob and weave. And you have to set your expectations with your reality. And no, most people who play music are not going to make much money. But are they going to make more music? I think that's the most important part. If you make more music, you're a musician. Congratulations. And yeah, just stick to being your own thing. That's where the invention is. Is that point where you say, okay, I've never seen this done. I'm going to try it. Just try it. So, I could have, I like all the other guitars too. I found something different in this. That's for me, and I'm not going to buy the fake. Not going to do that. I'll either make my skills better to build something or save up to do it. But really, value, build quality and ability in a piece of equipment. That's kind of it. The rest of it is your personal preference. Do you like the look of it? Do you hate the look of it? I bought one that's polarizing for a lot of people, but I liked it. And it's part of, you just have to deal with it. Nobody's gonna like everything you do. It's not gonna be like that. But, and you're gonna have things that are just gonna get, my hands don't work as well. I have missing feeling in my pinky. That's life. That's how it happens. You work around it, you train, practice. But really figuring out your own way of doing something, that's the hardest and best lesson I can say. And there's no way to tell you how to do it. You just figure that out. Crap, I thought this would be a shortcut. Turns out there isn't one. You just have to go through and dig in. And you get in what you put in. Everybody has their own way of doing it. I don't read music. I play with sound. That's what I do. I get in there, I try it for myself, and I figure out a way to do it. Figure out a new way to do it with what I can do. And that's all you can do. But don't get disheartened because we all face it. We all have stumbling blocks. We all have plateaus. And being a content musician is a really difficult place to be because other people have different expectations on what you do. And just to be happy doing your thing, isn't that the goal? I mean, it's not about legions of fans. It's not about, it's about being there, playing, and doing this thing, making a sound that is as connective as language. That's just fun. And it's playtime. So play around, have fun.